Welcome to the Kaur Show. This is episode 26. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm Ranjeet Kaur from the UK, and here with me is my co-host Gurinder Kaur from Melbourne. Vaheguru ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki fateh.
Vaheguru ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki fateh. Benji, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. Our week has been fully loaded on with the protests, in solidarity with the Punjab farmers. How's it been in UK this week?
It's still busy. I
Mhm.
still think that a lot of us online are making the impact and the difference.
Mhm.
And I think daily we should still carry on making those posts, stories everywhere we can for social media. And some
Yeah.
people have gone to Hamleys to boycott shops specifically to help out with the protest. So there's so much going on
Yeah.
around the world, but at least on social media we get told. You know?
I'm pretty sure, yes. Definitely it's making impact. And I think it's the first time I'm seeing, like in my life line at least, that for the first time there are so many like protests happening for the same cause. Like more than hundreds of protests actually have happened just in Australia. So see, that's such a huge issue, I'll say, just not only for the Punjab farmers, but the farmers from all over India. So it's definitely
Yeah.
we need to stand with that.
The only difference I can see is that in India, although Punjab have gone to Delhi to start the protest, and then you've also got the other Kisans, you've got the
Yeah,
Hindus, and then you've got the Haryana Valley, everyone's come together there. But I don't find that everywhere
absolutely.
else in the
Yeah.
world. It's mainly just there. So it would be
Mm,
good if we had other cultures coming forward to help us out. But I think we have to reach out to them a lot
yeah,
more.
that's right. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So today we have something totally different going on with our show.
Yeah.
Normally we would have a guest and a topic, but today we will be having a few guests joining us. But our topic is reflections of 2020,
Mm.
especially during the pandemic. And can you believe, Benji, it's been 26, this is our 26th show since June. So that's been, what, 6 months of pure madness. Can you believe that, Benji?
I know it's absolutely amazing that 26th episode and so much time has passed, and it seems like we were just discussing what we're going to do and all these things, and can't believe that we have covered so many episodes in this time. It's absolutely amazing.
Yes, we've covered so much, like even mental health, sexual abuse, miscarriage, even men's mental health, coping with the pandemic. And then we've had loads of inspiring stories as well with the
Mm,
blind runner and the first Sikh female journalist in Pakistan and loads more. So,
yeah.
but today we're going to share what we've learned during the pandemic. And
Mhm.
also for our viewers, we would really appreciate if you would provide your experience during the pandemic. So please share in the comments how it's been for you and 2020. So Benji, how's it been for you? How's this year been for you with the pandemic?
I think absolutely with as with everyone else, there has been so much discussion going on, like 2020, and people want to write off this particular year. Some people, I read some jokes on the internet saying that please don't add 1 year to my age because I haven't used it. So these are some of the memes that's coming up, which is funny and hilarious. But at the same time, there was 2020, and I think there was a lot of enthusiasm about this year because it was the start of a new decade, which was going to begin with. But no one expected, no one even knew that there is any such thing that would happen this year where we will be like, locked in our homes. Our life will be totally changed, our work styles, how we are meeting people. And the mask, I never thought I'll be spending my days and walking on the roads with masks. So this has been a totally different year. And of course, we pray this doesn't happen again in a lifetime, but it's been absolutely, a different year. And of course, we'll talk through this, that what we have learned from this, and how we have actually, taken ourselves up from all these learnings, the opportunities. There's a lot to talk about that. What about yourself?
I think at the beginning of the lockdown, I didn't really realize the severity of the situation. And,
Hmm.
and then rearranging your work, your gym routine, even your daytime naps, mine especially, had been shifted out. So I think I had to improvise and make the most of the situation. But one beautiful thing that did come from the pandemic is the Core Show. So each week we've been able to learn something new and have someone fabulous on. So I think there are lots of positives, especially, but there are lots of negatives as well. But we're all going through this together, and we've all got to learn. So I think it's been not so bad. It could be worse. It's only 1 year, I think. So, but today we have a few guests waiting to join our show, and our first guest will be Dr. Govinda Singh from Sydney, who is a pediatrician, who will be sharing his experience of the pandemic from a medical point of view. And also we have Ranjeet Kaur, who is a nutritional coach who helps people understand their food journey and lots more. So she's been on the show before, but it will be great to hear their viewpoints of what they think of the pandemic and how they've been. Should we invite them on?
Yeah, sure.
Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. All of you.
Great, thank you. So, shall we start with? We'll start with Dr. Govinda Singh. If you can tell us your experience of how it's been during the pandemic, and also about yourself as well, so that our audience can know.
Yeah, thank you for having me today. I would say that my experience with the COVID has not been that overwhelming, given the fact that I have been in pediatrics, and children, fortunately, have been very, very less affected by COVID. But yes, they have been in the milieu of adults and the milieu of the society in general, so they have been protected a lot. And but overall, I had not got much experience with treating any COVID patient myself, because kids, as I said, have not been affected. Having said that, yes, it was a very challenging year. It has been a very challenging year, very interesting year, I would say. Um, uh, we had to protect ourselves at work while we were saving lives. We had to protect the kids. We had to use, masks, which are very annoying, as Gurinder said, putting masks on, putting the whole PPE, what they call it, the personal protective equipment, was much more annoying than seeing a patient and finishing it off in 5 minutes. It was like a full exercise to do all that stuff. So we have had a lot of news around us. People, anybody from 20 to 90s passing away back home in India as well. It was a challenge to accept all this unexpected deaths in our neighborhood, I would say. But we have gone strong, as the people say, when the life gets tough, when it gets going tough, what is it called? Sorry. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. So we have gone tough now. We have had our challenges, but we are accepting it front, and yeah.
Absolutely. Now that's really true, Dr. Saab. And just as a professional, dealing with patients on a daily basis and listening to their sufferings and what's going up in their life, do you think, even though you yourself have not treated anyone with coronavirus, but have you listened to those stories, and do you feel it was a different kind of experience?
Yes, definitely, yes, Benji. It was definitely. I mean, I had 3 of my medical school class fellows back home passed away in the last couple of months, and to talk to them. I mean, this is one year which has brought us together in a different way. This FaceTime, and given my younger age, this FaceTime and all these Zoom meetings and everything, it has definitely brought different perspective to our communication skills. And yes, it was heartbreaking to see, people going through all this process, especially people with comorbidities. So then I think Neet will tell us about how to look after yourself during these times, because nutrition is very important. To keep yourself mentally sane is very important to fight this thing. And people, we should talk to people. मैं last year गया सीगा इंडिया ते मैंने एक I would like to share this poster with you guys to talk to people about your issues. So this was the thing. I will show it to you if you can see it. So this was very good, but this was translated into something in Australia, which Gurinder may be knowing about it, right? So this is what we need. Are you okay? We need to ask each other, Are you okay? We need to keep ourselves, you know, connected to the society in general. Yeah.
So Neat, tell us as well.
I was like, I've got so many questions.
You
It's
don't
just
have the
going to be
questions.
me
I have
asking
the
Dr.
questions.
G questions.
Oh, you
Um,
can.
It's so nice to hear from somebody that's just slightly older than us, in a really professional
You can be,
occupation,
you can be
sharing.
comfortable telling me old enough. That's fine.
But yeah, sharing this because you're not as old as my mum and dad, but I feel so worried for them being isolated, and I think it's so encouraging to see people talking about using technology, but more than that, discussing, asking one another if you're okay. And I think in our community, even if you ask somebody, how are you, to see tika, everyone's like, hanji, hanji, matika. It's the ongoing automatic conditioned response to say that we're okay when we're not okay. So my mum has done a podcast in Punjabi and Urdu with a lovely doctor here, talking about grief and talking about anxiety. And they did this, I think they did that work before COVID. And I thought it was so important because a lot of people at home, and now the children like my age are asking their parents, like, how are you? And they're responding like, it's just like there's a weight they can't really explain, because our community, our Sikh Punjabi community, is so adjusted to dealing with adversity and really quite dramatic immigration situations, racism, that they've learned to just like brush things over. So now when they're at this point in life, probably hoping that dukh sukh was a little bit more manageable, they're talking about that weight and the isolation, how it's affecting them. And I think it's nice because in Punjabi there's no word for anxiety, right? So my mum and the doctor had to think a way around in Punjabi how you would discuss that feeling. And that work now is so necessary because I share her podcast sometimes, because so many people at home are going through it, but now they maybe can access it because we've been pushing people more to using online. And again, it is really important, nutrition. Before, when you're out and about, it's easy to misconsume a lot of things because we are easily marveled by bright packages, here, buy this deal, buy one, get one free. And now, and now we're home. It's all fully within our control, but it doesn't feel that way because the first thing we do when we feel out of control, where we have a pandemic, is to lean towards food, which we think we can control, but we will naturally, because of the way that we are psychologically programmed, sugar, salt, fat, the snacks are always going to win, the quick food. And that's been a real issue. We've seen a lot of people talking about weight increase this year, which is why I obviously do the work that I do and I help a lot of women. You've got a comment in the sideline. Enough of the doom and gloom Binder is saying. What about our excitement about 2020?
I know. As I was mentioning before, people have, just written off 2020 from their lifetime. But absolutely, I was saying that there will be people who will actually remember 2020 forever, because a lot has happened and some people have actually picked up those opportunities. And I want to ask you, Neat, on that. Like, I'm sure you might be having goals for when 2020 started. Were you able to achieve those goals, or what did you do differently?
I've loved 2020. I've seen the most profound grief and challenges in my life, but it actually allowed me to put into practice some of the work that I had been doing personally on resilience and coping. And I think as a community now, we're really moving forward this year. Like, things like this show are so important. There was topics we as women were not talking about, as Sikhs we weren't talking about, as a community, as South Asians we were not talking about. And we were at home feeling trapped in our own lives. Does other mums shout at their kids? Or what's my view on, rap music? What's my view on, sexual abuse, and then you have a show like this where these conversations are being had by two women wearing the star, which can be very intimidating, I should add. People can be honest in the comments, and you're making yourselves accessible, because we often, as people that are not practicing, think you're not. So can I have that conversation with this Benji? You know, we kind of treat people, we have so many unconscious bias in our mind. Now we've gone online, we're connecting and we're breaking down into barriers in our own communities and talking about things. And I think a lot of people will leave 2020 now more open-minded and feeling a little bit more, what does matter? Do I really want to be online bashing somebody about a subject which is now more accessible, because you ladies have made that conversation happen? So when you're home sitting with the judgment about something, we can actually think, oh, I used to think this, maybe, you know, you're enlightening, and you're kind of adding to someone's toolbox in their own thinking and thoughts. So for me, yeah, things like this and being part of a community like this has been profound. I smashed some goals, I really did. And then in my personal resilience, I learned that life goes on with grief and loss. That makes the lesson more profound. Why am I here? How can I contribute to this world in a meaningful way? We should all question our mortality in that sense, because we often treat life as it's just a given, but it's actually, you know, really a valuable gift that we should appreciate every day. And I think when I look and I interact on social media, I'm very clear that the things I will watch and follow have inspired me every day. So I was laughing with you, wasn't I, Ranjeet, about, I love the affirmations. I thought they were fantastic. And now to see them transforming to support something so close to our heart with the farmers' protest, I love that. Every day I can go on and see meaningful content, which I know is not everybody's real life, but equally, it's made us think and step up for ourselves. Well, I'd hope so. So yeah, 2020 was fantastic, not just from a business perspective, but from my own resilience and personal perspective too.
Yes, thank you so much. Not everyone can connect or relate to the Gasans, so that's why I do my little bit with the affirmations daily. I make sure it's daily. But I'm tempted not to say Papa on the show, because Govinda Singh is my father-in-law. But it's very difficult calling Dr. Simon, you know. But like, I remember when the pandemic started and you were going to go back to work from India and from your trip, and I remember thinking, are you really going to go back to work? Like, how can you go back to work in the pandemic, being a doctor with where the disease is? And I remember you saying that, well, I'm a doctor, and if I don't do my duty, who will? So I thought that was really powerful, because that was amazing. Did you ever think about not going back to work?
And I will say one thing. I will share this thing also, because this is I've been saying it for so many years. Yes, it is a pandemic, right? It is a pandemic. But if you take the DEM out of this pandemic, it becomes panic, right? So fear factor is very important to dislodge from our minds. I'm just trying to show it to you, right? Because fear actually, this is the title of a medical journal article which I printed out for this today, to say that fear actually reduces your immunity. So you need to be positive. Yes, we are overwhelmed. Yes, we are, but we need to be strong enough. And one thing I've also learned out of this pandemic, which I would say I beat pandemic in UK, and then I beat pandemic in India at the start of this year. And then I was well in time to have a self-quarantine for 2 weeks before I started work, as you said. But we need to be fighting it out, as I said before, with positivity. It has created a lot of creativity in the minds, in the lives of people, right? Because on my own front, creating something at home, in the kitchen or in the garden has been really therapeutic to many people, and to me as well, of course. So yes, did I answer your question? I'm not sure.
Yes, I'll leave the gardening and cooking to you. Well, I enjoy them. But we have enjoyed, we've managed FaceTime. You do that a lot with us, much more than before. And there's Zoom parties we've had as well. So it's not been all bad Although, you
No,
know,
it's not bad. No, yes.
no.
As I said at the start, it is an interesting year actually. You have learned a lot out of this year. You should
Yes.
not take it out of your lives. It is very important
Yeah,
to
definitely.
to face these things in life so that you know the real meaning of life. What is, life is very momentarily. As Gurbani says the same thing as well. We should be. I mean, I can't extempore the verses from hymns from Gurbani, but I know the essence of it is that we are all guests in this big world, and we have to do as best as we can to serve the community, to serve the society, to help each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And it's so lovely, actually. Can I just interject? What
Sure.
doctors said about fear, and I talk about this a lot in my coaching. I say we come from two places typically in our thinking. It's fear or faith, and I sometimes call faith love. So when something is presented in front of us, we can switch into fear-based thinking, which is really quick and easy to think, or you can just pause and go into faith thinking. And I think that the pandemic has slowed a lot of people down, which we needed as a world. And it's made us think about, sustainability, our own health. I know that for me to be true. I started the year managing 2 jobs. I transitioned into this job fully, and it really gave me time to reflect. If it wasn't for the grief and if it wasn't for the pandemic, would I have made that decision? Because I feared giving up a stable local government job. Everybody in our community would be like, teri pension, inni badhiya job hai, tu chhod deni. And then I'm like, yes. And that would have been fear-based thinking that I couldn't manage to do this, on my own. But when we release something like that, and I released it, and I was like, no, I had no paid clients, then, you've made space now for you to flourish in this venture that you've picked. And that's because I had faith. So I always try and lean more in faith. If I'm getting angry or upset, I ask myself, why are you thinking that way? How could you think from a faith perspective and believe in, a different perspective view? Although I did get a little bit sad yesterday. So I want anybody with children to think, when I watch movies now, I look at people if they're in a group and I'm like, oh, they're in groups. And it's almost strange to see people sitting next to each other on buses and trains and not think from a pandemic perspective. And I thought, and I said to my friends, I said, our children won't be in crowds. Will it give them an anxiety when they get older to be in crowds? And I've just already thought of that because they're playing the playground. So I was thinking from my adult fear-based perspective that we're not going to be in crowds going to, events or music or gatherings, but actually it's okay. Like you see, as a parent, we can think 15 years of time where they're so used to being alone. Will they panic in crowds? But no, they still go to soft play in the playground. And that's all we have to do. We have to sit and think, how can I switch from my fear thinking to a faith thinking?
Absolutely. I think it just comes back to us, and definitely, I think we definitely 2020 we have grown up a lot, probably much more than we could have. It was a normal year, and
Yes.
just yes.
Sorry.
No,
I
you
said
were,
shut the noise outside and visit the silence inside, I would say.
absolutely. I
Yes.
think cover your spirit within. I think that's a kind of motto. I think we were able to connect more to ourselves, or rediscover that
Yes.
energy which is hidden inside. I think that's very. We are just very close to the transition from 2020 and 2021. If we talk through Gurbani, I know every single day is actually the same, but we just that if we just still count through dunyavi dunya, and this time is clock is ticking up every moment. And of course, it's a new year that's coming up. And still, we know if we talk about the world, still coronavirus is still there at many places. Although people would have started taking it lightly, but the year has actually changed a lot of people's lives. We can't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Some
Okay.
oh, sorry, I think the screen just got. Everyone can hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we're just going to talk about like the challenges. You touched base on that. Considering your own reflections, could you maybe talk about any physical challenges as well, and what you have actually gained in yourself, much more than it would have been a normal year.
Who's that to?
Um, we can get each one of us. So maybe we can start with Dr. Saab, Dr. Govinda Singh.
Sorry, just to repeat the question. Sorry, what did you mean to say?
Yeah,
Ask?
my question is, like, considering it, again, a pandemic, and still we are still transitioning to 2021. And as we have heard that even today that there were new 30 cases of coronavirus in Sydney again, the cluster is growing as well. Just considering yourself, and reflecting on 2020 and moving on to 2021, what do you think would have been like the outcomes of 2020 that you're carrying on to 2021? Maybe your physical challenges, and also the mental
Yeah.
health as well, that you have seen the growth in you as a different person.
Yes. As I said, creativity in each one of us has allowed us to grow further in these times, because we have not been interacting with people physically. So, and by talking about physical, I would just emphasize this point. We have been talking in Australia, especially in Australia, I don't know about other countries, we've been talking about social distancing. It is not social distancing. It is physical distancing. We are still talking to people. We are still on the show here. We are still talking to people on the phone. So it's just physical distancing. So this is the things which we were, taught in childhood about physical, what you call etiquettes, the personal hygiene etiquettes. I've been labeled as OCD by my sons and my family, that you're washing your hands too frequently, or you have to keep OCD about things. But this is coming in handy now. We need to be very, very cautious of our personal hygiene. Coughing into your elbow or coughing into your shoulder, and sneezing into your shoulder. So I mean, these things which were there all the time, but we have been brought into the on the forefront of our lives. And yeah, that's and then we will carry on. If we carry on like this into 2021, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to beat it. I mean, in itself, I would also say that this pandemic in itself is a vaccine, actually. Even if the vaccine has not come to us, it's a vaccine. It's actually preventing you from so many diseases. A lot of these other infections in the community have reduced a lot, because people have been, not mixing up with each other. So it's very learning thing.
Yeah. And I might ask you the similar question, but I want to ask in context of working from home. Our lifestyle of working has changed. How was that with your life? Life setting. Did you enjoy that, or was that?
Yeah, I think so. Strangely, I've really enjoyed the the isolation. I like being at home. In fact, I have to really push myself to not and to mix with people. I like talking to people, or I can talk to women and connect with my people all the time. I'm online. I'm very active on social media, but I like spending time with my family. And I think because for the most part of my 20s and 30s, I did an office job. So when I had children, I was really drawn to be with my children. I wanted to pick them up and drop them. I wanted to be the mum that was around. And I think it's really interesting what the doctors just said about, I prefer now the queuing. I know this, sounds bizarre. I prefer the civilized way we can wait in line and move away from each other than the way that we were coexisting before, rushing all the time, rushing, bumping, crashing. And I do my shopping online. So when I do go out, I find that kind of physical distancing quite refreshing. But again, in even the smallest parts around the hygiene, it's lovely because we've got young children. So those of us who have young children, and having that message reiterated in schools is nice. Wash your hands, wipe your face after eating, all these things. It's just a nice thing to do. And we were laughing about, how the older generation used to do. What do they call it when they put the barney in their mouth and wriggle it around after every meal? Yeah. Yeah, and we laugh about people doing it. The Gurudwara, I remember our grandparents doing it. And actually, when you think about children's dental hygiene, right, it's so good for people to do that. It's the smallest things that you can then put into practice, and they all stem back from a lot of what was talked about before. We've become really reliant on immediacy of access to let's hand sanitizer, but actually, traditional for hand washing. I forgot the question, but for me, because I went off on one again. For me, I do love working from home. It can be challenging when my children like to crash my calls, as Benji's had in the past, and they like to come sit on my lap. But I'm very honest, and I think a lot of my clients understand that I am a parent and I'm working from my home. So it made me think about the degree of separation between having a work environment and being at home, and that blurred lines can feel sometimes strange. But again, I always question if when I feel challenged, I ask myself, how can you think from a faith-based thinking? And I think I'm still so lucky that I get to work at home, and have my children interrupt me. You know, there's people that haven't got those blessings, or they don't have that opportunity. So again, but I'm one of these, not toxic positivities, but I do tend to find a silver lining in everything. It's very hard for me to feel defeated by anything psychologically.
Yes, we know. I know.
I've nurtured this for a number of years. It's coming into use.
I remember one of my friends recently, she said that, oh, during the pandemic, we now get the kids to wash their hands when they come back from school and before they eat. And I was thinking, didn't you do that anyway? Some people are still learning the simple basics of washing hands before eating after being out all day in the mud and sand and but if that's how they're going to learn. And we do need to slow down. I've been asked the other day, when are you going to go back to swimming? Or when are the kids going back to martial arts? And I'm like, I'm not ready yet, because I actually like this mellow and chill out time. I think schoolwork's enough work, but these are the activities I don't think I would do as much as I used to do. I think I'd go back to doing maybe once a week, not 3 times a week. So I definitely don't want to do the rat race again, running around. Just chill, a bit more chill out. So maybe this year has been a blessing in disguise for a lot of us. And especially as we have the Kaur Show as well, because we have invented that and we've introduced that for many topics that even we learned. But we have had some viewpoints from people that I asked over the last few days, and they've told me what their view of pandemic and the Kaur Show is. So I'm just going to read some out quickly. Someone said, the Kaur Show has brought together so many different specialists talking about topics in our community that we often neglect, ranging from food psychology, an inside and self-reflective topic, to a holistic community topic like the environment. So we had the Eco Seek, when that was about Punjab. And the Kaur Show has definitely sparked more conversation, reflection on things we all can improve on moving into 2021. And the best part is they have recorded the episodes, so you can listen again whenever you want. Yes, it is on YouTube as well. Another person said, it's been absolutely amazing that you cover topics that we would not normally talk about. That is so true. And somebody else said, thank you for today's show. I learned a lot about men's mental health, which I didn't know existed. That's very true, because I learned a lot from that time. That was from the Lucky team. And somebody else said, now knowing the signs and where to go makes a difference, especially as they learned about the baby loss topic was really good. And I thought that alone, and that you talked about it so openly and freely. So they had said thank you, because we had a drug named Hope. Gurinder came on and talked about that. So I've had lots of feedback in regards to the Kaur Show during the pandemic, because it was a time where we could all talk about topics that nobody really wants to talk about, and inspirational stories that aren't really spoken about. So I think the Kaur Show has made a difference, not just to me, but to people that, our viewers. What do you think, Benji? Govinda Benji?
Yes, definitely. I've been able to connect to so many people that I wasn't, linked to them before, and they're sharing stories, what they wouldn't normally do with me, just because they realize there is a show and we can talk about all these topics. And they found someone is actually able to hear their stories and, maybe provide some feedback or, share an empathy with them. It was really great connecting with these people. And we actually brought some of those on our shows as well, even though we didn't mention, kept their privacy as well. But it was great to help, and come across those people. We were able to. And just, outside the stories, Panji, I want to share a feeling which I recently visited to, end of year party at my work in the city itself in Melbourne. And I saw a number of shops, closed. Are really pet shops, are cafes, and some of the shops have just permanently closed. So I really felt very, disheartening to see all those shops, and I remember the faces who used to, wait for us. So some of those businesses are really shut down permanently, and it's really sad. I'm not sure whether they will be able to recover in 2021 or not, but I really wish to all those small business owners, and even anyone who has actually been badly affected by the 2020 crisis given by coronavirus. We really wish, our best wishes in the upcoming years, and so that they are recover and their families are doing well. So I think that's very important.
No, that is very important. We had I saw a post the other day it was about Amazon, how they said we should be supporting small businesses and not just shopping so conveniently or soullessly on Amazon. And I just thought, I'm so glad that with Seek Coloring, this pandemic has been a blessing for us, because people needed resources for their children, so they'd come to Seek Coloring, and it was brilliant. But it was really hard because I've got the children and then the business to run. So, but I do definitely think where we can help the small businesses, it is definitely going to be a help for them, because, otherwise how they're going to continue on. But we have got some comments as well. Deep Singh has said, thanks for bringing so much wisdom to the show. Thank you very much. And Gurmeet Kaur has said, the Kaur Show being great for us to see many role models and people to share their stories. Great platform and fantastic work, ladies. I look forward to more great episodes. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And yes, definitely we'll bring, more episodes in 2021. And we got another one from Kirandeep Kaur. And she says 2020 has been tough for our business, but we have been able to interact and connect to so many people around the world. And yes, thank you, Kiranji. I'm wearing your T-shirt. And we got this T-shirt through Kaur Show only, and we were able to connect with 1469, and we got these T-shirts ordered, which is great. And I really love their, branding and these T-shirts.
And
thank you.
The masks as well. I
was going to say the masks. Yeah, they're brilliant.
Yes.
That's who I associate them with now.
Yes, they've got their shop is full of wonderful, colorful. You'd be there sitting there all day just having a cup of tea and literally looking at their stuff. It's that colorful. It's amazing. And yeah, I had the Fulgari the party neat. So that was
I know. That's why I associate it with.
As I said before, it was my go-to shop in Sector 17, Chandigarh. Whenever I used to go there over the years, like for the 30 odd years now.
Oh,
wow.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I have actually a question I don't want to forget, and that's for both of you. How has this year been? One thing we have come is like there's not so much time that families have to spend together with the family members before, as in 2020, because we were all locked in the same house, same rooms. So how was it, spending more time with your family members? Maybe we can start with Dr. Singh.
Oh my God. Don't ask me this question. I thought my younger son will be with me. He will come out for lunch. He will have a cup of tea with me. Oh my God. He was so stressed at work in his own room. He would not come out except for a kibna. I mean, for me, it was overwhelming. I thought this whole thing will be very easy going to work from home. But I think it is another tough challenge for the people who are working from home. I couldn't experience this myself, but I can see the stress around him sitting at home and working from home, not interacting with me much. So I would say that it was not as I expected working from home was.
But in his defense, it was his.
Yeah, you will always come to her defense.
Cool.
Yes, I appreciate him. That's fine. That's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm just saying that it was my supposition that somebody at home so we can interact more often. But no, it was very serious business going on there as well. That's okay.
Yeah, I think
him.
nudge him. Yeah, I think I think what you find, especially in our community, we've got a lot of kind of high performing, and there's a lot of people that have high performing anxiety, but we like to work really hard. If we are in paid employment and we work for somebody, we like to do a very good job. So there's that blurred line now where people are trying to really put in the hours and show up. And it's been difficult. When I was managing my team before leaving my last job, I had to keep reminding my team, like, make sure you take breaks. You think you're going to get more work done. You would log on in the morning and then they kind of stay at their table, kitchen table in their home, working. And I was always just saying, take a break, go for a walk. All the things that are coming up, bing, bing, bing in your inboxes, some of them can wait. So make a distinction between what can wait. Because, yeah, I think people that switch to working full time at home, you probably think, I could just get it done. Let me just stay here. Let me just get this last email checked. And then with everybody being online, it means that there was no more 9 to 5. Emails were 6 to 12, 1 a.m., 3 a.m. And that virtual way of working means there's a lot more pressure, I guess, to just do a little extra hour, stay online a little bit more. But no, he needs to take lunch breaks with you, go for a coffee, go for a walk. Right, Ranjeet's going to have to do it. You're going to have to get them to go for a little walk.
No,
In the
he does
cold.
look after look after his physical and mental health. That's all right. But I thought there'd be more interaction at home, but it is only at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But when it happens,
Yeah.
because he's,
I
as you
wonder if
said,
other
I think
people
for
have found that. It'd be useful to
he
see
has
if your
to
viewers have found that.
he's justified. I mean, he has to justify his presence in the team and a part of the team and work hard, as you said. So
Yeah.
we came to realize one of the other learning points in this pandemic is to learn how people work from home.
Yeah.
For my personal I think that the hard part was working from home plus homeschooling for my daughter. That was the toughest part. And, as soon as the schools opened, I was so much, thankful that, okay, the schools open, everything, it was much better after that. But that was really the hardest part of this pandemic for me. How about you, Ranjeet Penji? Dealing
As
with
soon as they went to school,
working.
Bichare, it wasn't their fault at all that they had to go back to school or anything like that. It was just a relief because now I could get on with some proper work, But then there was the whole, if the bubble had it, then they had to be at home for 2 weeks. That did not help either because then there's so much going on with the schooling from home. Every hour they've got like a 15-minute session, then they've got homework in between. It was like you're not working at all if they've got anything in their bubble. So it was, at least it wasn't all the children at home and then the pandemic. So I could compare back to how it was in March. So even if it continues on for another year or so, at least we've done the hard part, which is the first hurdle. Everything else is going to be easy. We've had Vasaki without meeting family and friends. We've had the Gurpurabs now. We're going to have maybe Christmas even. So we've done it all now. So what's left apart from physical distancing ourselves with people, Hannah, and wearing the masks and being protected. So I think it makes a difference. But my question to you both is, my last question to you both is, so what message would you like to give to the audience for some motivation or positivity for 2021? Neat.
Oh God. Oh me. Oh no. So I think first things first, we should recognize, even though I do have this very fluffy view of the world, that each of us can experience challenges, and it has been a really challenging year. So if you are feeling, down or you are finding it difficult, do not beat yourself up about that. It is the first time we've ever been in a situation like this. So yeah, reach out for help. And if you find traditional methods challenging, there's a lot of other kind of organizations you can reach out to. So like you've mentioned, Taraki was on here, Seek Forgiveness. There's a number of really good accounts on social media where you can just drop them a message and they can signpost you. So please don't feel alone in any difficult feelings that you're having, or if you're struggling, and don't be afraid to reach out. There's a lot of non-judgment and useful tools that you could start to use. And then and I think similar to what you just said, Benji, is we have seen the real diverse reactive type methods this already in 2020. So I think we're more prepared for this in 2021. And for people like myself and you think, oh, when the kids go back to school, I'm going to be really, really, really productive. One of the things we should just say is expect the unexpected, because the moment we think we're going to have 15 hours of child free time, that child's sent home, and those hours you thought you were going to clock up, gone. So yeah, it's about just expecting the unexpected, and maybe, yeah, that's it. Finding our new normal in abnormal. But yeah, just to
Yes.
keep going in the best way that you can, and know that if you show up every day and you're alive and you're breathing, that we're doing something, we're all right, and there's always a little victory. So don't think too much about the things that you didn't get done. I think that's really important.
Thank you. And Dr. Sahib?
Yes, I ditto the feelings which Neet has expressed. We should be continuing with our struggles in life, and this is just one of those things which we'll definitely cover. But I would, as a doctor, I would definitely advise take this forum as a platform to say that get yourself vaccinated whenever it comes. It may not be as true in Australia because we are still a few months away from vaccine because we can afford to. But definitely UK people, USA and India, they should get vaccinated as soon as they can, physically possible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Today has been great talking to you both. Benji, Gurinder Kaur, did you want to have any last speeches, maybe about Shaheed Week?
No, I think we can just mention about this that from today, 20th of December, it's definitely the Shaheedi week that's starting up today, and we, on behalf of the Kaur Show, and we definitely pay our respect to the all the Shaheeds of December month, Mata Gujri Ji, Char Sahibzade, Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib, and all the Shaheeds of this particular month. And I'm sure there will be different samagams. This year is different all across, but of course, wherever you are, we do participate in any samagams that's happening, and pay our respect to the Shaheeds.
Definitely
And,
participate where you can.
Before we go off, please spare a thought, as you have been doing, for the poor farmers on the road. I'm really, really amazed at the way they are fighting. I mean, I had to send a few, stories. They have published a paper from yesterday, their own paper to get their demands across. They're putting an enormous. I just feel that they should be blessed with calm and composure, and they don't get violent, and they should win this fight. Absolutely amazing thing they're doing so far. They're doing very well, and we wish that they win this battle. This is a battle with the Indian government, unfortunately.
Yes, it's called Trolley Times, and they've also got a YouTube channel as well now.
Yes, they're right on top of things. Yes, a Twitter channel is another thing they have hooked on to. The tractor to Twitter, something like this.
That's the hashtag.
Yeah, hashtag. Yeah,
that's brilliant.
Beyond me, but yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we should all pray for farmers.
Followers, subscribers on YouTube already, which is great. That's it.
Yes, definitely. So I'm really glad that Neet mentioned about how we should reach out for help if you do have any issues with Seek Helpline, Taraqi, or Find. There's lots of help out there, no matter where you are in the world. You've got to just Google and search. But thank you to our guests for your wonderful input and sharing your journey with us all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next week we will be taking a break for 1 week only. Because there's a samagam happening in Australia. And we will be back on the 3rd of January when we will see you again with a new topic. And if you have a specific topic that you would like covered, please send us an email to hello@thekaurshow.com. And if you would like to see any of our previous shows, please visit our website, thekaurshow.com. Thank you, everybody. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa.
Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.